Late September sunlight spilled through the sheer curtains of the Mitchell family's lakeside home, illuminating a tableau of suburban perfection. Freshly mowed grass lined the winding driveway, where a silver SUV glinted like a polished gem. Inside, Laura Mitchell moved through her morning routine with practiced ease. A kale smoothie in hand, yoga mat rolled out on the living room rug, and cheerful laughter drifting from her and her 11-year-old daughter, Emily, as they planned the weekend's book club meeting. By all accounts, Laura's life was flawless. She and her husband, Michael, age 45, high school science teacher and coach, had built a comfortable existence over 15 years of marriage. Their two-story craftsman boasted gleaming hardwood floors, a garden bursting with autumn mums, and family photos that lined every wall. Michael beaming in cap and gown at his college graduation, Laura cradling newborn Emily, then proud snapshots of Emily's first piano recital. Neighbors waved as they passed on evening walks. Friends confided in Laura when marriages grew rocky. Emily's school buzzed with praise for the Mitchells' annual Halloween block party. Yet beneath the calm surface, subtle fissures had begun to form. Dinnertime conversations had grown shorter. Michael's cell phone, once relegated to his golf bag, now buzzed incessantly at odd hours. He brushed off Laura's questions with a tired smile and the promise of just a work emergency. He'd leave town on a teacher's conference, then return with a far-off glance and a hastily claimed suitcase in his hand. That Wednesday morning, Laura found herself staring at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, tracing the faint worry lines by her eyes. She drew a deep breath and texted Michael, "Don't forget the science fair packet deadline tonight. Love you." His reply, sent within seconds, read, on it, "Gym after school. Late home. Eat with M?" Smiley face. The wink emoticon felt clinical, like an instruction rather than affection. As Emily bounded down the stairs, backpack in tow, Laura forced a bright smile. "Big day?" she asked, guiding Emily to the table. Emily nodded, snarfing a waffle. "I'm excited for the history quiz, Mom. And don't worry, I'll feed the dog." She tapped her phone, streaming her best friend's morning update. "Oh, and Dad said he'd pick up Chinese on the way home." Laura paused. "Dad's picking up dinner?" She felt the prick of unease. Michael rarely strayed from his Sunday night spaghetti ritual or his carefully logged grocery list. To see him order takeout felt off kilter. Before she could ask more, the phone rang. Caller ID, unknown. She hesitated, then answered. A woman's voice, hushed and close-mic'd. "Is this Mrs. Mitchell?" Laura's heart stuttered. "Who is this?" There was a pause. Then, "I'm well, this is hard. I'm Anna Watkins. I'm Michael's wife." The words landed like a fist to Laura's chest. "What? I don't understand." Anna's voice trembled. "I know you won't believe me, but I have 2 kids with him. He's here. He helped us move last week. Please, I don't know what to do. You deserve to know." Laura's hand flew to her mouth. The waffle lay forgotten, crusting on her plate. "You're lying," she whispered. "I wish I were," Anna sobbed. "I've called so many times. I'm so sorry." The line went dead. Laura sank into her chair, the kitchen spinning. Emily's chatter to her friend on speaker echoed through the tile. The world she'd known, a life built on decades of trust, fractured in a single phone call. Outside, the silver SUV idled as though waiting for Michael to return. But Laura knew in her bones that nothing would ever be the same again. In the spaces between her racing thoughts, one terrifying question took shape. Was the man she loved living a double life? And how far would he go to protect it? As the morning sun climbed higher, Laura Mitchell realized that the perfect life she'd curated was merely an illusion, and that behind every photo frame smile lay secrets waiting to be exposed. The hunt for the truth had just begun, and somewhere across state lines, another family trembled under the weight of the same man's betrayal. The rest of Thursday passed in a blur for Laura Mitchell. She navigated her biology class with a distant smile, graded lab reports in a fog, and forced light conversation with colleagues. All the while, Anna Watkins's revelation pulsed at the back of her mind like a thumping alarm. That evening, over microwave mac and cheese and chicken nuggets, Emily's reluctant concession to Mom's distracted state. Laura's phone remained glued to her hand. She texted Michael, "Everything okay? Traffic? Love you." No reply. At 7:45 p.m., she received Emily's text. "Dad's stuck at school." He said to go ahead without him. Relief and suspicion warred inside her. After dinner, Laura told Emily she had a work call. In the study, she dialed Anna's number once more. This time it connected. "Anna," Laura whispered. "Thank you," Anna said, voice shaky. "I'm in Red Oak, Georgia, about a 4-hour drive from here. He's teaching summer school at the high school down the street. 2 little ones, 6 and 4. Her words flooded Laura's mind with images of a second home, a second wife, 2 more children. "Can you send me proof?" Laura asked, voice catching. "I've got pictures, our wedding, the kids' birthdays, and a deed to our house under his name." Anna's tone gained strength. "I'll email everything, but please hurry. He doesn't know I've reached out." Laura exhaled, steeling herself. "Okay, I'll look for your email." She ended the call, trembling so badly she had to brace herself on the desk. True to her word, within minutes an email notification dinged softly. A wedding portrait, Michael in a tux, Anna in a pale gown, dated 2 years ago. A photo of 2 small children at a picnic table, both with dark curls like their father. A scanned deed to a modest brick home in Red Oak, listing Michael's full name. With every click, Laura felt her heart splinter. That night, she lay awake beside Michael's side of the bed, still cool to her touch. He'd left his phone downstairs, charging by the lamp. Laura retrieved it and scrolled through text threads. No evidence of Anna. She opened the draft message to Emily's teacher. Just practice reminders. Then she found Michael's banking app. A recurring mortgage payment to Watkins residence. The amount matched Anna's deed. At 3:17 a.m., Michael slipped into bed, his uniform shirt still on, tie undone. Laura watched him, her mind racing. "Michael," she murmured. He blinked awake. "We need to talk." He sat up, drowsy. "Laura, what's wrong?" She held out her phone, displaying Anna's wedding photo. "Who is she?" Michael's eyes widened. For a moment, seconds stretched. Then he slid out of bed, buttoning his shirt with trembling fingers. "I can explain." His voice was strangely calm. "Please, hear me out." Laura braced herself. "Start talking." He inhaled sharply. "Anna and I met at a sign conference 5 years ago. Our marriage we drifted apart. We connected. And before we knew it, one thing led to another." He ran a hand through his hair. "It started small, weekend visits. Then it became real. She was pregnant before I realized." Laura's breath caught. He hesitated. "I've tried to balance both lives. I love you and Emily. Always have. But I messed up." "Messing up," Laura whispered, "is one thing. Leading a double life with another family. That's a betrayal I can't comprehend." He reached for her hand. "Please don't throw our life away. There's a way to fix this." Laura pulled away, tears in her eyes. "Fix? You're a 45-year-old man with a secret wife and 2 kids. How do you fix that?" Michael stood, voice pleading. "I'll end things with Anna. I'll sell the Watkins house. Or, Laura interrupted coldly. "You could just disappear and let me raise Emily alone. Either way, it's over." Michael's shoulders slumped. The betrayal hung between them, an unbridgeable chasm. When he didn't argue, Laura knew he'd chosen Anna, his other life, over the family they built. She rose stiffly, gathering her robe. "I want a divorce," she said, voice low but firm. "I'll be in the guest room." As she crossed the threshold, Laura realized that the road ahead, 4 hours south into Anna's world, would define the next chapter of her life. But first, she needed rest. In the guest room's quiet, she lay on the crisp sheets and stared at the ceiling, wondering, could a double life demand a double ending? And if so, who would pay with their blood? Saturday dawned gray and drizzly. Laura Mitchell stepped on her front porch, umbrella unfurled, as a cold breeze rattled the maple leaves. Emily watched from the doorway, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. "Mom, are you really going?" she asked quietly. Laura swallowed. "I have to, sweetie. I'll call you as soon as I can, okay?" Emily nodded, tears in her eyes. Be safe. Laura hugged her daughter fiercely, then climbed into the SUV. She punched Red Oak, Georgia into the GPS, 4 hours south, down quiet two-lane highways and sprawling interstates. As the engine hummed to life, she thought of Anna's children, waiting on a different breakfast table under another Easter-washed roof. The drive felt endless. At each rest stop, Laura's mind circled back to Michael's confession. He'd offered to end things with Anna, yet he'd surrendered without protest. The bargains he'd made in shadow had left their family bereft in daylight. Mid-morning, the rain intensified. Wipers slapped across the windshield as Laura pulled into a gas station outside Macon. She refueled and mentally rehearsed her approach. Stay calm, gather facts, and demand honesty. Above all, she needed proof of Anna's children and her husband's commitment to both lives. Back on the road, the sign for Red Oak seemed to appear out of the mist. Welcome to Red Oak, population 4,200. She followed the directions Anna had texted, past the modest Brick Ridge Elementary and a shuttered diner, then down Willow Street to a tidy brick home with a manicured yard. 2 bicycles lay by the porch steps, and a golden retriever barked within the fenced yard. Laura parked in the driveway and drew a shaky breath. She checked her makeup mirror. Nothing could conceal her tension. Adjusting her umbrella, she approached the front door and knocked once. The door swung open to reveal Anna Watkins, dressed in jeans and a pale blouse, her dark hair pulled back. Behind her, 2 children, Ella, age 6, and Jake, age 4, peeked around the frame, wide-eyed and clutching a stuffed giraffe. Laura made herself smile. "Hi, I'm Laura, Michael's wife." Her voice cracked on wife, but she swallowed the lump in her throat. Anna stepped aside. "Please come in." She closed the door and offered a trembling gesture toward the living room. Inside, family photos lined a mantel. Michael in a suit hugging newborn Ella, the 3 of them at a pumpkin patch. A small sofa and a pair of upholstered chairs formed a cozy circle around a coffee table strewn with children's books and crayons. Laura sank into one of the chairs while Anna poured water for both of them. The children hovered, shy but curious. Anna gathered them into her arms. "Mommy's work friends are visiting," she whispered. Then, to Laura, "They're a little confused. I've tried to explain, but it's hard." Laura reached out to touch Ella's arm. "Hi, I'm Laura," she said gently. "I'm happy to meet you." The girl's dark curls brushed Laura's fingertips. Jake clung to his mother's leg, peeking up with wide brown eyes. Anna led Laura into the kitchen, a tidy space with wood cabinets and a bowl of apples on the island. On the counter lay a stack of papers, school notices, rounds of pay stubs, and a letter from the mortgage company for the Watkins home, signed by Michael. Anna opened the folder. "I've collected everything he'd never share. Proof of our life." She slid out a photo of a small graduation party. Michael in a cap and gown beside Anna, both beaming. Then a snapshot of baby Jake in a bouncer. Each image drove Laura's pulse higher. "How long?" Laura whispered. 3 years, Anna said softly. "We thought we were careful, but I never imagined he had another family back in Illinois." She held up a key ring with 2 house keys and the deed to this property. Laura felt a cold wash of betrayal equivalent to her own. Laura glanced at the rain-streaked window. "Had you ever met Emily?" Anna shook her head. "He said you and she were too busy, that it would confuse the kids." I believed him. Tears slid down her cheeks. "I never wanted to hurt anyone." Laura's hand tightened into a fist. "Why didn't you call me sooner?" "I tried," Anna admitted. "He intercepted my calls, texted from my number to you. He kept both worlds apart." She bit her lip. "I was afraid for my kids, for me." They sat in shared silence as the rain pounded the roof. Outside, Michael's betrayal had sprouted 2 households. Inside, 2 wounded mothers mourned the same husband. Laura exhaled and set aside her anger. "We need to talk to him, together, so the truth is out." Anna nodded, steeling herself. "I called the school superintendent. He's finishing summer classes until noon. He'll be home by 2. Laura checked her watch. It was 1:15 p.m. "Then we wait." Anna moved to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. "What do you want him to say?" Laura looked at Anna's children. Ella's hopeful face and Jake's cautious gaze. I want him to admit everything. To both of us. Then, I'll decide what comes next. Anna offered a trembling smile of solidarity. We'll face him together. In that moment, two families united by one man's deception braced for the confrontation that would decide their fates and the fate of a life built on lies. Laura checked her watch for the fourth time in 15 minutes. 2:05 p.m. The steady patter of rain on the porch roof had slowed to a hollow drip. Anna hovered by the kitchen window. Ella and Jake curled at her feet, sensing the tension. At 2:17 p.m., the Mitchell Watkins suitcase clattered onto Anna's front stoop. Michael stepped through the door, soaked to the waist, tie askew and his usual composure shattered. He blinked as he found two women in his living room. His wife of 15 years and the woman he married in Georgia. "Laura," he stammered. "Anna, what is this?" Laura stood, her umbrella still dripping. She slid it into the corner rack. "This," she said, voice calm and cold, "is truth." She lifted a folder, handing him the deed, the mortgage statements, the wedding photos. "Your Georgia family." Michael's gaze darted from the deed to Anna's tear-streaked face, then to his two children watching from the couch. His voice caught. "You can't do this here." Anna's voice trembled as she spoke for both of them. "It's my home, Michael, and it's the only place I know." She steadied herself. "Tell them why." Michael cleared his throat, eyes flicking between the two women. I love you both." The words, meant to pacify, landed like stones. "Anna, you and the kids, you're my family now." His gaze swung to Laura. "Laura, I never stopped loving you." Laura inhaled, mobilizing years of fury and heartbreak into a single, controlled moment. "You built two families on lies," she said. "You never intended to tell us. You weren't choosing either of us. You were choosing yourself." She met his eyes. "How many lives did you think you could live without someone noticing?" Michael's shoulders slumped. "I was unhappy. Our marriage, I felt stifled. Anna understood me in ways I forgot I needed." Anna's children looked up, confusion and fear on their faces. Ella clutched her giraffe. Jake buried his face in his mother's leg. Laura's heart broke for them. She knelt, gathering both children into her arms. "Your father made choices without considering you," she murmured, voice gentle. "But you're safe now." Anna sank onto the sofa, closing her eyes as tears flowed freely. Michael approached, voice pleading. "Laura, please. We can fix this. I'll end things with her. Laura stood swiftly. "No," she said firmly. "It's not your choice alone. You lied for years. You betrayed two women and 4 children." Her gaze held his. "I called the school. They know. Your colleagues know. This goes beyond privacy. It's deception, emotional abuse." Michael's gaze flicked to the children, then to Anna's anguished face. "I never meant to hurt the kids." Anna rose, pulling Jay close. "We will get through this. They're my priority now." Laura watched Anna gather her children, then looked back at Michael. "I want a divorce, and we'll share custody of Emily. But as for your Georgia family, they deserve better than a man who abandons them for convenience." Michael ran a hand through his wet hair, desperate. "I can prove I'll be there," he pleaded. "I can." Laura shook her head. "You lost that right when you chose lies." A heavy silence fell. Outside, the rain began again, washing the porch steps clean. Inside, for lives stood fractured around a man who had tried to live 2 truths and succeeded in honoring none. Anna and the children gathered their belongings, while Laura hovered, offering quiet support. Michael lingered in the threshold, eyes hauntingly empty. As Laura and Anna ushered their children into the car, Michael's final words followed them into the gray Georgia dusk. "I'm so sorry." But for Laura and Anna, sorry was no longer enough. They stepped into separate futures, united in their sorrow, determined to rebuild lives that had been shattered by one man's betrayal. 3 weeks later, Laura Mitchell sat in the jury box of the Red Oak Municipal Courthouse, her stomach knotted with nerves. She journeyed back to Georgia on Anna's behalf. Anna had returned to Illinois to settle the family home and schools. So now Laura faced the trial of the century in this town of 4,200 souls. The defendant, her husband, Michael Mitchell, charged with the manslaughter of Anna Watkins. Laura's eyes searched the defendant's table. Michael, gaunt and hollow-eyed, avoided her gaze. His once steady posture slumped beneath the weight of public scrutiny. Counsel for the prosecution had already laid out the case. Anna returned to confront Michael over finances. She demanded child support and an end to his double life. A heated argument erupted on August 12th at the Watkins house. Neighbors reported shouting. A single gunshot rang out. Anna collapsed in the kitchen doorway, clutching her son's toy giraffe as Michael knelt, shaking, beside her with a small revolver in hand. Laura swallowed as Prosecutor Davis replayed the audio from the 911 call. Michael's frantic voice, "She won't let me go. I didn't mean God. Please send someone." Anna's final, strangled breath. Silence. Then the dispatcher's voice. Michael's defense argued self-defense. Anna lunged for him. The gun discharged accidentally. But the timeline told another story. Detective Lee's forensic team placed Michael at the murder weapon's sole trigger, and ballistics confirmed the fatal shot came point blank. Surveillance from a neighbor's Ring camera captured Michael standing alone in the yard 5 minutes after Anna fell silent. No aid, no children's cries, just him, rocking and mumbling. Now, stall after stall, witness by witness, the prosecution drew the portrait of a man desperate to keep his secret safe. Neighbors, the family doctor, Emily's favorite teacher, all painted Michael as irritable, distant, and rattled by Anna's legal threats. Even his own children's tearful testimony, recorded earlier, underscored his love for Anna, then his sudden panic the night she died. Laura's heart pounded as the last witness stepped down. She remembered that August night. Frantic text from Anna. He promised to end it. "Please come." Then radio silence. Laura's own journey back from Illinois to Georgia, just in time to find Michael pacing on the doorstep, gun in hand, and his lifeless body at his feet. Judge Harris called a recess, and Laura stayed in the box, her shoulders shaking. Emily, now under the care of Anna's sister a state away, would never understand how the man she adored could orchestrate a double life and end one of his wives with a gun. When court resumed, Michael took the stand. His voice quavered as he recounted his love for Anna, his growing panic over losing both families, and the moment the gun discharged. "She grabbed for it," he pleaded. "She was angry, screaming. I didn't know what to do." Prosecutor Davis drilled him on finances. The $500,000 he transferred from his Illinois account 2 days before the shot, the insurance policies he changed to name Emily as beneficiary, the will he updated to cut Anna's children out entirely. Michael's defenses crumbled. Under cross-examination, his eyes darted, sweat beading on his upper lip. "You loved Anna enough to marry her twice," Davis pressed. "But you valued your Illinois estate more than her life." "What?" Michael's voice broke. I want to protect my kids. I thought if I lost her, I'd lose everything." Judge Harris asked if he'd ever considered honest agreement, divorce, custody plans, shared support, rather than silencing Anna forever. Michael's silence answered plainly. He chose murder. Late that afternoon, the jury returned. Laura sat rigidly as the foreperson stood. "We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of voluntary manslaughter." A hush fell. Michael's face went slack. Tears dripped onto his defense table. Anna's children wept quietly in the gallery. Laura exhaled, tears mixing relief and grief. Justice, imperfect though it was, had been served. As Michael was led away, he cast a final glance at Laura. His eyes pleaded forgiveness he didn't deserve. Outside the courthouse, reporters clamored, flashing cameras capturing the fractured family. Laura held her head high. Her daughters' and Anna's children's futures mattered more than the ruin of her husband's reputation. Later that evening, she stood at the Watkins house with Anna's sister, watching the sunset paint the brick walls gold. The children played quietly in the yard, unburdened by adult sins. Anna's memory would carry scars of betrayal, but her children would grow up knowing their mother fought for truth and a future free of lies. In the end, Michael's double life had ended not with the perfect illusion he intended, but in a moment of desperation that cost a life and dismantled two families. And as Laura whispered a final farewell at Anna's resting place, she understood that no secret, however carefully kept, could survive the light of truth. And sometimes, that light burns hardest when it exposes the darkest shadows of the human heart. The soft click of the front door greeted Laura as she returned to her lakeside home in Illinois. The autumn air was crisp, and the golden leaves rustled like distant applause. Inside, Emily waited in the living room, clutching her rabbit. Laura knelt, wrapping her arms around her daughter. "I'm home, sweetie," she whispered. Over the next weeks, Laura and Emily settled into a new normal. The divorce was finalized swiftly. Laura secured sole custody of Emily, and Michael's properties were divided to ensure Anna's children would be provided for. Laura's friends organized meal trains and playdates. Emily's teachers offered extra support. Yet beneath the routines of soccer practice and PTA meetings, both mother and daughter bore fresh wounds. Laura found unexpected solace in volunteering at Brighter Tomorrows, a nonprofit for families affected by domestic violence and betrayal. She led a support group for women whose partners had shattered their trust. Her calm voice guided newcomers through sharing their stories. When she spoke of her own ordeal, her strength inspired tears and nods of recognition. One chilly morning, Laura met Anna's sister, Rebecca Watkins, at the Mitchell home. Rebecca had flown in for the holidays with Ella and Jake. The two women sipped hot cider in Laura's kitchen, watching the children laugh over crafts by the fireplace. "I can't thank you enough," Rebecca said softly. "You saved our family's future." Laura reached across the counter. "We saved each other." Outside, snow began to drift. Laura looked out at the frozen lake, reflections fractured in the ice. She thought of Michael, now serving his sentence in a Georgia penitentiary, his double life exposed and broken. He had taken Anna's life and tried to destroy theirs, but together, Laura and Anna's family had forged a path forward. As the first snowflakes settled on the windowsill, Laura whispered a promise to Emily and to Anna's children. They would outlast the darkness, their lives defined not by betrayal or bloodshed, but by resilience, hope, and the unwavering truth that no secret could remain buried forever. Winter's first snow fell softly on Maplewood Drive, blanketing the street in a hushed white that belied the turmoil beneath. By early February, Laura Mitchell's lakeside cottage glowed with twinkling lights and a warming hearth. But inside, she braced herself for the community reckoning still to come. A packed hall at the Pleasant Grove Community Center filled with more than 100 residents, neighbors, friends, and strangers, gathered under a banner reading "Finding Hope After Betrayal." Brighter Tomorrows had organized the forum, and though Laura rarely spoke in public, she felt compelled to share her story beyond support groups. This was about healing an entire town's faith in love and trust. When it was her turn, Laura stepped onto the small stage. The soft light caught the strands of gray in her hair, and she pressed a hand to the microphone to steady her voice. Below, faces blurred, old friends avoiding eye contact, parents clutching children, newcomers curious at the turnout. "Thank you for coming," she began. "I'm a teacher, mother, and, until recently, a wife who believed in a perfect marriage." She paused, recalling the moment Anna's call shattered her world. "My husband led a double life in another state, with another family he vowed to love and protect. When the truth emerged, I thought our community would see me as a victim, a cautionary tale of distrust. But I also feared we'd be defined by his betrayal." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Laura folded her hands. "What I learned is that betrayal can fracture families, but it also unites us in ways we never expected. When news broke, strangers offered rides for my daughter. Neighbors brought casseroles. Colleagues covered my classes. I discovered that Pleasant Grove's strength lies in compassion, not perfection." She shared how Brighter Tomorrows paired her with Anna's sister Rebecca, forging a bond that transcended initial resentment. Together, we confronted our shared pain and built a network that supports families facing deception, abuse, and loss. Tonight, I invite you not just to listen, but to act. Check in on old friends, volunteer at local shelters, teach your children empathy. Let our community be defined not by one man's lies, but by all our acts of solidarity. Applause rose in waves. Laura returned to her seat, and attendees lined up to hug her, share tears, and commit to new partnerships. Mentorships for teens, financial counseling sessions for single parents, group walks to check on the lonely. By the event's close, the center felt less like a stage for tragedy and more like a crucible for renewal. Outside, the snow had ceased. The sky glimmered with stars, and street lamps reflected on icy sidewalks. Laura walked to her car, chest still warm from the evening's embrace. She glanced at the darkened homes lining the avenue, each one now a guardian of shared responsibility. In the silence, she realized that a community's true measure reveals itself not when all is easy, but when it chooses to stand together in hardship. March arrived with thawing ice and the rebirth of crocuses pushing through soggy ground. For Laura and Emily Mitchell, the season heralded a fresh start in the lakeside cottage that felt less like an exile and more like a home. Laura had overseen the sale of the Mitchell family estate to fund her new life and to ensure Anna's children received full support. One bright morning, Laura and Emily stood on the porch, painting the white railing a cheerful robin's egg blue. Emily balanced on a stool, paintbrush in hand, humming tunelessly. Laura applied the second coat, remembering how they used to paint the old house together. Now, with each careful stroke, she felt the weight of the past lift slightly. Inside, a box arrived from Georgia, framed photos of Anna's children at their first spring bloom festival. Rebecca had inscribed each frame with old family jokes, a reminder that life continues even after betrayal. Laura placed them on a new console table in the entryway, side by side with a single orchid in a glass vase, a tribute to Anna's quiet strength. Later that week, Laura accepted the department head position in the biology department at her high school. The promotion came with a spacious new office, a modest raise, and the responsibility of mentoring younger teachers. At her first team meeting, her colleagues greeted her with genuine warmth. No awkward glances, just nods of respect. She realized that resilience, not suffering, defines a leader. That Saturday, Laura drove to Illinois to collect Ella and Jake for a spring break visit. The Watkins home in Red Oak glowed in afternoon light. Children's bicycles parked in the driveway, and the golden retriever bounding to greet her. Rebecca stood on the porch, arms open. "Welcome back," she said. Inside, the two families merged seamlessly. Emily and Ella shared giggles over an art project on the kitchen floor. Jake and Emily built Lego towers. Laura and Rebecca prepared peach cobbler, swapping recipes and life updates. The laughter echoed through the open floor plan, and in that moment, the fragile family bonds formed by necessity showed every sign of enduring by choice. On the final evening, both families gathered on the porch swing, sipping iced tea as the sun dipped behind the lake tree line. Rebecca raised her glass. To new beginnings, she toasted, and to the women who turned heartbreak into hope. Laura clinked her glass against Rebecca's. And to the children who remind us every day why it's worth the effort. As twilight deepened, espressos warmed their lips, and the swing rocked gently. Two families united by love's unexpected paths, forging futures from the ruins of deception. Early April brought bright sunshine and a sense of forward momentum. But fate had one final revelation in store. While reorganizing her home office, Laura ventured into the attic, now a cluttered sanctuary of memories she'd chosen to keep. Among boxes of Emily's baby clothes and Michael's old lab equipment lay one dusty crate stamped personal. Curious, Laura lifted the lid to reveal Michael's handwritten journals, neatly bound in leather. Each bore a date, entries from 5 years ago to the present. With trembling hands, she carried the box downstairs and settled at the dining table. Journal number 1 opened before her. Page after page chronicled Michael's inner turmoil. His guilt over drifting from Laura, the exhilaration of meeting Anna at a conference, the secret appointments that transformed into a second marriage. He described calculating dinners in both states, balancing insurance policies, rehearsing lies, and the crushing fear that his worlds would collide. Then came the final entries, days before Anna's death. Plans for a joint family meeting to confess everything, seeking forgiveness to start anew. Tears blurred Laura's vision as she absorbed his desperate hope. "I will gather us all, Laura, Anna, our children, and we will stand together in truth. Shame and pain cannot withstand confession. I pray I find the courage." The last sentence trailed off in splintered script, ink blotched by a rushed scribble. Rebecca found her sister in sorrow, slumped over the journals. "What is it?" she asked gently. Laura closed the book, voice hoarse. "He intended to tell us all. Then something went terribly wrong." She showed Rebecca the entries. Together, they read how Michael's plan had gone unfulfilled not because he lacked remorse, but because anger and desperation eclipsed his intentions on that fatal night. That evening, Laura and Rebecca invited Emily, Ella, and Jake to write their own journal pages, letters addressed to the past, forgiving the father who had deceived them, and pledging to embrace honesty in their own lives. The children scribbled drawings of family picnics, hearts, and sons. Laura realized that healing doesn't erase injustices, but it gives victims agency in shaping what comes next. The next morning, Laura delivered Michael's journals to the County Historical Society under a collection titled Lives Torn, Truth Revealed. She and Rebecca drafted an essay for the local newspaper about second chances and the power of confession, ensuring Michael's last intentions would guide others away from hidden betrayals. As she drove home, spring blossoms lined the streets, and Laura felt a weight uplifting her heart. The discovery, though painful, had fulfilled Michael's final wish, truth delivered, at last. By bringing his words into the public archive, she gave both families closure and a testament that even in tragedy, honesty can blossom. 2 years later, Lakewood Cottage looked every bit the loving home Laura had envisioned. The front steps bore welcome mats from both Mitchell and Watkins families. Children's bicycles leaned against the porch, and a wind chime, a gift from Emily, tinkled softly in the breeze. On a warm May morning, Laura woke before dawn to practice yoga on the deck. As the lake mirrored pastel skies, she reflected on the journey from discovery to renewal. Her phone buzzed. A group chat from Anna's children, now teenagers planning a summer art camp for local kids. Another message from Emily. "Mom, I made the honor roll." Laura's smile widened. Inside, the kitchen shelves displayed family portraits. Laura and Emily at prom, Rebecca with Ella and Jake on graduation day, and a single photo of all 6 children on a joint beach vacation. In the corner, Michael's journals, now restored and rebound, rested on a bookshelf beside Anna's orchid photograph. Laura touched them gently, honoring the complexity of love and betrayal they represented. At mid-morning, Rebecca and the teens arrived for a barbecue, an annual tradition they'd begun to celebrate resilience. Guests laughed over lemonade and grilled corn, passing plates of coleslaw and potato salad. Laura watched from the grill, flipping burgers, as children chased a frisbee across the lawn. Rebecca joined her, handing over a tray of fresh cookies. "Look how far we've come," she said softly. "From shattered trust to this." Laura nodded. "We built something stronger than before, and we honored Anna's memory every step of the way." Rebecca squeezed her arm. "Michael's betrayal could have defined us, but it didn't." Laura finished. "We chose truth, healing, and love." As the sun began its afternoon arc, Laura gathered the families under the shade of a blossoming magnolia. She raised her glass of iced tea. To new beginnings, she toasted. To honesty, forgiveness, and the unbreakable bonds we've forged. Glasses met in sound. Laughter and chatter rose, echoing across the water. And as the wind scattered petals from the magnolia, Laura felt at peace, knowing that by exposing darkness, they had reclaimed the light, and that their story would guide others who dared to seek truth beyond betrayal.